Today we are going to be simplifying some expressions using division rules, but then also we've got a power on the outside, so that involves some multiplication rules as well. So let's take a look at the first problem here. Before we go any further and try to get rid of these parentheses and take the three groups of x squared over x y to the third, let's reduce the fraction, if at all possible, inside the parentheses. And I see there are some common x's. See, there's one x here. There are two x's here. So this one x right here will cancel out one of the x's on top, leaving us with only one x on top. Let's go and rewrite the equation from that point. We've got an x over y to the third, and now we're bringing this to the third power. So what this means is three groups of x over y to the third. So when we go ahead and write this out, we'll treat, again, if you don't see an exponent, it's got an exponent of 1, and the way we're going to do this is take groups of repeated addition. That's called multiplication. So we're going to multiply the exponents. So you're multiplying the 3 by the 1 and the 3 by this 3 down below. And so we have y to the third times by 3. So whenever the exponent's on the outside of a parenthesis, that's when you multiply. Notice over here, I had to subtract the exponents when I've got common x's or common bases on the top and bottom of the fraction. So our final answer for letter A here would be x to the third all over y to the 9th power. Well, let's take a look at another one here. Same sort of thing. We can go ahead and simplify what's inside the parentheses. But before we can do that, we need to eliminate this set of parentheses. So when you don't see an exponent, put a 1, and let's multiply these exponents because we have two groups of a to the third b. So let's go ahead and rewrite what we've got now. We've got an a to the third on top. Down below now we have an a to the 6th power, b to the 2nd. And this is all to that second power. So the common mistakes I see are either not multiplying the b to the first power by the 2, or sometimes people add the exponent right here and get a 5. So make sure you multiply the exponents a to the 6th, b to the 2nd. Now let's use that division rule, which says that when we have common bases on the top and bottom of a fraction, we can subtract. So think about where there's more a's. There's more a's on the bottom. So that means these 3 a's are going to cancel out 3 a's from the bottom, leaving us only with 3 a's on the bottom of the fraction. Now everything canceled out on top, so what that means is we have the number 1 on top of the fraction. So let's rewrite what we've got. We've got a 1 over a to the third power and a b to the 2nd power. And we're bringing this all to the 2nd power. So at this stage, we're ready to multiply the exponents. We have two groups of 1 over a to the third, b to the 2nd. So the fast way to do this is to multiply those exponents. Now, 1 to the 2nd is the same as just 1, so there's no need to multiply that. So we just have 1 over a to the 6th, b to the 4th. And there is our answer. Well, the next one has a negative exponent on the outside. Let's see if we can do any reducing inside, though. Not this time, though. We've got 2 and x down below y to the third. So no reducing there. But what we can do, since we have a negative exponent on the outside of a parenthesis, we could take the reciprocal of both of these terms, and that will switch the sign of that outside exponent. And I would recommend doing that. So I'm going to rewrite this as y to the third over 2x, but now it's all to the positive 2nd power. I think you'll make less errors if you get rid of those negative exponents as soon as you can. So from this point, we're going to put a 1 on all the exponents that you don't see, and then multiply every exponent inside the parentheses, including the 2 to the first power. So it's now going to change to y to the 6th, 2 to the 2nd, times by x to the 2nd. So from there, all you have to do is multiply out the 2's. So y to the 6th, 2 squared is 4, x to the 2nd. And there is our answer. Well, another problem similar to that where you have some negative exponents on the outside. But before you do anything, look to see if you can reduce. Nope, nothing we can reduce. No x's down below, no y's up top. 3 and 2 have no common factors. So let's take the reciprocal then. And that will get rid of that negative exponent on the outside of the parentheses. So what we're left with is 2y to the second all over 3x to the third. And this is all being raised now to the positive second power. So now what we do is we get rid of that exponent on the outside. Put a 1 as the exponent on any number or variable you don't see an exponent on, and then multiply every exponent. Now here's where people are going to make the error. They're not going to multiply all the exponents, and so make sure you do that. So 2 squared y to the fourth. Down below we have 3 squared x to the sixth power. 3 times 2 makes 6. So from there, we multiply out these 2's. So this makes 4 y to the fourth over 9 x to the sixth. And that's our answer right there. So again, a common mistake is people that don't remove this negative exponent by taking the reciprocal will end up multiplying negative 2 by 3 and either getting negative 6, or sometimes they do 3 to the negative second is negative 9. It's not the case. Negative exponents just mean take the reciprocal and they become positive. Let's take a look at this next one. Another negative exponent on the outside. Let's get rid of that, because more mistakes are made when you keep the negative exponents in there. So let's get rid of those. And then in this step here, let's get rid of this inside parenthesis here. Let's multiply that 2 over those 2 exponents. And let's rewrite what we've got now. So now it's a 3 over 2 to the positive second power. And then now we're multiplying by x to the fourth, y. Down below we've got an x to the fourth, y to the second, and we are raising this all to the third. So now we can go ahead and do some more work. Over on this side, we can put exponents of 1 and multiply those exponents. Over on this side, we can cancel out common factors. These x's will cancel out all the x's here, leaving us with no more x's. This 1y will cancel out 1y down below, leaving us only with 1y. Let's rewrite what we've got now. Now it's going to be 3 squared over 2 squared, and then in this parenthesis we have 1 over y, all to the third power. See, the 1 is left on top because no numbers were left on top. We canceled out all the x's, we had 1y left over. Well, got a little bit more work here. Again, if you don't see an exponent, treat it as 1, and then multiply those exponents. 1 to the third power is still going to be 1, so no need to do anything there. And let's go ahead and multiply out these numbers here. 3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4. Leave some room for the y, and the y is left on the bottom of the fraction. Y to the third, and there is our answer. So if you see it as 2 separate problems, write it as 1 at the end. Just extend the fraction bar and just think about where the variables or numbers are left, depending on what we're dealing with. So the 9 was left on top, 4 and the y were all both on the bottom. Well, here's another one with negative exponents. Whenever we see that, right away, let's get rid of them. More mistakes are made, I see, with negative exponents. That's why it's best just to eliminate them right away. 12w to the third, y to the second. Down below, we've got an 8w to the seventh, y to the eighth power. And this is still to the third power. So positive third power because we eliminated the negative exponent. So before we move on, let's reduce. Now see the 12 and the 8. These are numbers. They're coefficients. Let's reduce that fraction. Let's take out that common factor. Let's divide by 4. Divide them both by 4. And what that leaves us with is a 2 on the bottom, a 3 on top. That made the problem a whole lot easier now. Cancel out the common w's. These 3 w's will cancel out 3 w's here. These 2 y's will cancel out 2 y's down below. Let's rewrite what's left over. So up on top we've got a 3, and these w's canceled out, these y's canceled out. So that's it, just a 3. Down below we've got a 2. We've got w to the 7 minus 3, so that's w to the 4th. And then the y to the 8 minus 2, so that's y to the 6th. And this is still all to the third power. So we're going to rewrite this as with exponents of 1 there and multiply all exponents. Common mistake I see is that people just do not multiply all the exponents, so don't make that common mistake. Let's rewrite what's left over. We've got a 3 to the third power. Down below we've got a 2 to the third power. W to the fourth, oh, not fourth anymore. What power would that be? Well, hopefully you said the 12th power, because we had to multiply 4 and 3. And that leaves us with 12. We have y to the 18th because it's 6 times by 3. So you multiply those exponents. These 3 groups of 6, which makes 18. So from that point, all we have to do is multiply out these 2's and these 3's and see what we get. 3 times 3 makes 9, times 1 more 3 makes 27. Down below we get 8w to the 12th power, y to the 18th. And that is our answer. So those are the problems that you'll see on tonight's homework. Good luck.